we are. There.
Awesome. Let me find us also.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. Welcome to our Super Chat. It's good to be back. Feels like we haven't done a show for a few days, which we haven't. We've been very busy working with some new people. If you got a chance to watch the Crazy Libertarian, did their debut yesterday. And on the radio this morning, it was a pretty good show. You can find it on YouTube.
It was pretty scandalous on the comments.
Yeah.
A lot of our regulars were thrown off by the new program, the Crazy Libertarian.
Yeah.
But, folks, you have to remember that ours is a community low-power FM station on which we want to have a great diversity of local voices from different walks of life and ideas and talents and all of that good stuff. So we're going to be bringing a lot of folks in, and I really like that these are young people from our local colleges that are not just sharing their opinions, they're also learning broadcasting, and that's fun. That's great.
Yeah, and it's really refreshing to hear their political views. I think that the people I've met so far through the policy and through the Crazy Libertarian is people are really thinking. Young people are really thinking about things in ways I didn't think about when I was their age. But they have a handle on what's going on politically and kind of what they want out of society and what they can participate in, what they can do. So they're very involved in things in the community and very involved in their lives and how it connects to most of the political and policy issues. So I think it's pretty refreshing.
In addition to which, we have been researching and working on the horrific and tragic story of the LeBaron family and the massacre of women and children in Mexico. And I was on Jay Thomas's show on WDAY yesterday. And then later on, I was on Chris Berg's television program, 630 Point of View, on KXJB.
Yep.
So a lot of preparing for both of those. I apologize because all hands were literally busy doing different things at the time that the radio show was being broadcast. And although we usually try to tape those for our audience so that we can share that, we didn't have anybody available to do that yesterday when I was on the radio program. I don't know. Did they archive those or podcast them or anything?
I don't know. I tried looking. I couldn't really find them.
Oh, I thought, well, what'd you think of it? I mean, you heard it. Can you give people a summary of what I said?
That was a great show. I thought it was one of the most informative shows I've heard on this LeBaron issue. It was very fresh news. But I think that the questions that Jay Thomas asked were really good, solid questions because they were inquiring and also commentary. And Cindy's answers and research and direct information, fresh information was very revealing. I think it took the audience in ways that they weren't expecting for the day. So it was kind of a quiet call in because I think people were just really listening, and you only had about 20 minutes, The way they do their radio, they have a lot of ads and stuff, so it's like the stuff gets taken up. So a half-hour segment becomes about 20 minutes of actual talking.
What did you learn from listening to me that you hadn't heard in the mainstream media?
Well, that these people were involved with the cartel for years. That they you didn't say it yesterday's show, but they're Mormons, and they've been living in their Mormon, compound there for, I think their family's been there for over 60 years. And this family has dual citizenship, and, this family is from Williston, North Dakota. One reason it was such shocking news for this community is there were people from North Dakota that got killed in Mexico. And they lived in Mexico. They were citizens of Mexico and citizens of the United States. So I thought that was pretty revealing. And also that this was not something new, that one of the gentlemen that's heavily involved is actually taking a stand against the cartel because they want to do their farming and have their land, do their farming, do their life, and not have to be, thugged by the cartel. Has been standing up to the cartel. And as a result of that, there's been kidnappings, there's been ransoms, they've stood up to not paying ransoms, and this thing that happened the other day is very unfortunate. The Mexican media is trying to spin it one way. The U.S. media actually has done a little bit. I haven't seen that much. I think I saw a New York Times article today, but it was basically parroting what the Mexican news is saying. But it's a very serious issue, and it's going to be explored more.
And there's a lot of gaps in information that Americans don't understand because they don't speak Spanish, so they're missing a lot of the nuance that is happening in Mexican news, such as, and I wanted to clarify something you said, Duke. You said that they've been involved with the cartels. By that, you meant they have been harassed.
Yes, yeah.
They have been attacked. They have been the victims of.
There you go, yeah.
Because the way you said it made it sound like they were part of organized crime.
No, they're not.
Okay. The family of this Mormon family, if you have watched the Vice history of the LeBaron family and the Romney family and the Mormon families that established communities in this area, and how drug cartels have interfered with their lives, you could have a much better idea contextually and geographically of why they're in danger.
Okay.
So if you haven't seen that, I recommend it. It's available on YouTube in multiple places. Just type that in, and you should be able to find it. Vice. It's an Mitt Romney versus the cartels or something like that. Anyway, one of the reasons is that it's way out in the boonies. It's right in between two states in Sonora and Chihuahua. And it's literally like desert, no anything around you forever and ever and ever and ever. And that road is the only access road for everyone, including the cartels. By the way, they're less than 100 miles from the border.
Mm-hmm.
By the way, they're in a corridor in which the cartels are moving product, people, weapons, etc. So that's one of the reasons, one of the many reasons why this family is in danger. Another reason, and for folks that don't understand this, I'm going to be doing a show with my Mexico correspondent to give you all the details of the things that I've been researching and reporting on here locally on other radio and TV stations, which I plan to do for my audience in depth in the way that a Mexican Crossing Lines tends to do tomorrow. So make sure to come back and watch for that report. I will be doing it in English and in Spanish. So another thing that most folks might have missed was that President Trump tweeted that United States is ready to, help out, send army, whatever. And the Mexico's wonderful president needs anything, Trump is ready to help. What you may not have understood in the translation in the media, what's being reported in Mexico is that AMLO basically said, yeah, thanks. Condolences to all the American citizens killed and their family members, but our government institutions are prepared to handle this. So no thanks.
Thanks, but no thanks.
And then the guy that's kind of like the equivalent of Michael Pompeo, Marcelo Ebrard, the chancellor in Mexico, said, well, there are institutions that would be making that decision. That would be like the Attorney General's office would decide whether or not we would be collaborating with the U.S. and under a joint agreement that we already have in place between America and the United States to handle joint investigations that we may be working on, like, for example, he said the massacre that recently happened in El Paso, but also many others I could name, we do cooperate. And to the degree that we share information and have some kind of legal agreement between the two of us that the federal government's Attorney General has approved, we would be working in, of course, we would take assistance from the U.S. or the FBI, maybe. Who knows? So, just very, strange. Mm-hmm. And there are a lot of rabbit holes and a lot of side stories, and I'm not going to get into all of them. I really want folks to understand the crux of the tragedy, and I'm going to talk about all of those things in more detail on my show tomorrow. But the reason I am telling you this, first, is to explain my absence. Second, to let you know that organized crime has tremendous power in Mexico, as evidenced by the recent massacre and the very snail slow response and the attempted cover-ups all along the way, and what kind of things result, the corruption, the rampant corruption, the things that happen in Mexico as a result of the fact that you have this rampant organized crime. And I want to also talk about tonight, as is probably evidenced by the images behind me and Duke, about two profiles, two women that have been charged, that have been accused of harassment, of online online, what's it called? Bullying.
Yeah.
Of lots of different kinds of harassment, threats, and we're going to talk about the similarities between these two profiles, because it's not only important to have an overview of organized crime and organized criminals, but also like the close-up and to look at profiles and see the similarities of these folks. So that's what we're going to be talking about tonight in detail and in general. I also wanted to highly, I cannot stress this enough, highly recommend that you watch the latest interview that Oscar El Blue Ramirez did with a member of the LeBaron family. You need to watch that interview. It is a must-watch interview. It leaves no question. There are a lot of people, even today, still arguing over whether or not the family was attacked.
Yeah.
What do you think of that? The idea that maybe this was a mistake and it was not an attack. And there was no, in other words, this was like a oops, sorry, we blew up your car and killed your family kind of a thing. Not like, ha, we want to kill your family.
Yeah. Well, the Mexican news was reporting that today, that they thought it was a fight between two different cartels, and those people just got caught up in the middle of it. There's this driving by and got their car torched. And it's like, there's got to be more to it. The thing is that it seems like the Mexican media is just trying to make it go away quickly. Explain, done, we're out of here. And the United States media also doesn't have very much attention span. So it's like they just kind of want it to go away, is what my impression.
Mm-hmm. And people are very upset at the picture behind you. Can you...
Of mine?
Yeah, like Paloma's tatas are making people ill.
Oh.
I didn't tell her to dress like a prostitute, but you know what? This makes a point. I'm going to be making a point about these people and these pictures, how they dress and how they behave. Look, I got some tatas, smacking me in the back of the head too. So it's not just Duke. But, what I was saying about Oscar's interview is so important. Nobody got the information, the interview that Oscar got. I listened to a lot of the reports, interviews, stories from the members of the family and stuff, and nothing compared to the informativeness, the connection. I mean, it was truly heartbreaking to hear the events. But after listening to this family member say that they know, there are survivors that can attest to what happened. They know that one of the mothers that died sacrificed her life because she jumped out of the car to wave her arms to let the shooters know these were women and these were children. At that point, you would think that's when they stopped shooting, because it was a mistake, right? If it was a mistake, that wouldn't have happened. And that is something that she makes very clear in that interview. They were attacked. Today, they are reiterating that they were attacked. Because from the beginning, they've been trying to say This is a mistake. No. You're jumping to conclusions. You're making it into the big bad boogeyman cartel. It wasn't like cartel members willy-nilly just incinerate families of Americans. It was an accident, you see.
Yeah.
Actually, this cartel, La Línea, and a Guzman offshoot cartel, who are rivals to each other, they presumably thought that the convoy was of the other party, and that's why the attack occurred. By the way, they've got someone in custody, a cartel member from the La Línea cartel, who they caught at the border with weapons, loaded weapons, long arms, plus 2 kidnapped people. They didn't say that the kidnapped people had anything to do with the LeBaron family or the LeBaron Mormon community. They didn't say that the weapons or the ballistics matched anything having to do with the massacre of the LeBaron family. And they did not say, in fact, they specifically said that there is no direct connection so far between the arrest of that dude and the massacre. But they're putting his arrest in the same stories as the LeBaron family.
Yep.
So the government's attempts to sidestep what seems to be the logical conclusion for the majority of people listening to this horrific story, it's starting to become more and more annoying and noticeable, and it is especially disrespectful to the family, because Mexico will not acknowledge its problem with organized crime. Mexico will not acknowledge how bad it is. Mexico is not responding, as they did in the aftermath of this massacre, swiftly enough, correctly enough, with the right resources. Did you know that in the aftermath of this, there was 8 children missing, because the ones that survived, one of them hid one of the younger kids that were injured, and the family was frantic trying to find these 8 kids. And there was a number of problems, including the fact that the family members, even though they armed themselves before attempting to go back and look for the children, they too are terrified. This is not the first time that the LeBaron family have lost family members to kidnappers and murderers in organized crime. This is not the first time. This is not their first rodeo. This has happened to them many, many times. So they were at risk. Just by going out to look for their family members, they were putting their lives at risk of more people in their family being murdered. Thank you, Miss Red Badger, for your kind support.
Yes.
And for the support of the work of our station, for keeping us going. In fact, if you want to be a sponsor of a Mexican Crossing Lines or one of our other programs, you can become a sponsor of our programming. And Duke, do we have a new sponsor?
Yeah, it's called underwriting. Underwriting is a way that you can support a nonprofit radio station. And it's a way to promote your business, but it's also about a tax-deductible contribution. And we'd like to thank our most current sponsor, Make My Life Great Again, Paloma4Trump.com. That's Paloma, 4, Trump.com. Make My Life Great Again. Underwriting is a great way to be able to support us and also get your business's name out there where people will see it and drive traffic to your websites or whatever else that you do. People locally have become sponsors. Locally, we have a couple of businesses that we have ads on the air that they support our work, and then their business gets mentioned from their philanthropy of helping us out. If you'd like to help us out, just go to kppfm.com, and you can actually make a donation, a tax-deductible donation. Just click on the donation tab. Also, you can go to our most current archives, see the most current shows we put out. There's also a tab for Mexican Crossing Lines, and you can see all the Mexican Crossing Lines shows. It's all up to date. We have all the videos on there. We take videos from our YouTube channel that you are watching now. Perhaps you're not, but it's Duke 1517 is the name of the channel. And those videos go on to our website, and sometimes we do audio files. Sometimes we take the audio off of our live streams and we put them on the air. Not all of them, but some of them. They all needed to be edited because they need to have different things in them to run on radio. So some of the shows don't make it there, like the Antifa ones didn't, because there's just too much swearing going on, and we can't swear on the air, you know. But anyways, check us out at kppfm.com. If you want to communicate with us, you can send Cindy emails, Cindy at kppfm.com, me, Duke, at kppfm.com. And you can go to our Facebook sites, and we have the People's Press Project also, and Mexi-Can, and follow us here on YouTube at Duke 1517. We did get a sponsor who actually dropped by, or a person who made a donation dropped by $25 the other day, and that I asked him if we could mention his name on the air, and he never told me yes. So I'm not going to mention his name on the air. Sometimes when the contributors, I'd like to thank all of you that do contribute to us. I do a piece on the radio, or I have sponsors of the week, and we mention people's names. But I only do that if people give me permission. So some people do and some people don't. But we'd like to thank everybody for joining us tonight, because this is really going to be an interesting show, and we really appreciate you being here with us tonight.
Mm-hmm. Now, one thing that it's hard for people to understand about organized crime in Mexico, we don't have organized crime in the same way in this country. I mean, we have gangs, and there is corruption, and there are, but it's not as rampant as it is in Mexico. It's not as common. And the reason for that is because there are more people living in poverty. It's very, very simple. You can more easily corrupt someone that can't make ends meet, whether they're a cop or whether they're, electrician or, a waiter at a restaurant. It doesn't matter. The poorer the person is, the easier it is to bribe them. And unfortunately, because of the immense poverty that reigns in Mexico, there is a lot of corruption going on. Thank you so much for your support, Mary. I want you to know that there are no perfect stories, just like there are no perfect victims. But what I can tell you about what I have investigated so far in the massacre of this family, Mexican-American family, Mormon family, nobody deserves to die in the fashion in which their family members, their babies, were horrifically killed. Nobody. And there's a lot of, I don't know what to call it, people out there already talking about their religion and their history with polygamy or the magic underwear, or the list of things could go on and on and on that I have seen. And I want to remind everyone in this moment to focus on the crime, not on Mormons as a whole. This particular family, their family members go back 100 years. Their communities have been established for a very, very long time. There's probably hundreds of, thousands and thousands of LeBarons, and relatives of LeBarons. So because one family member it may have been in the spotlight for something very bad, that in no way has anything to do with the murder of these children and women.
True.
Nothing. So I want folks to, kind of remember that, because a lot of people are, getting all like pulled in 20 different directions. Focused on that and focus on the organized crime. This is a huge black eye on the president of Mexico's face and administration. Why? Well, I don't know if you recall, a couple of months ago, there was a shootout in a town that lasted for 4 hours. Mm-hmm. Remember, I think we were driving to Minneapolis or something, and I told you about this? And I said they had armored vehicles, and I showed you, videos of the armored vehicles, and the people of the town said no one ever came. No federal police, no National Guard, nobody came. They were alone. There was an announcement from the cartel, which I believe was communicated through a video they put out. Remember, I think I shared the video, or showed you the video, and it looked like they were all doing one of those like freeze challenges where and they were wearing ski masks. So they're like, hey, folks, we don't want anyone to die. We're coming to your town. We want this guy. I don't remember what his name was, like Uncle something. Some old dude, head of the other, rival cartel. And, if you hand him over to us, no one will die. And then they went in, guns a-blazing, and shot up the place for 4 hours. Mm-hmm. These types of things, especially where no police presence is seen, show you how completely alone and unattended these Mexican people are. Yep. That's what the Mexican public can expect from their law enforcement and from their military when it comes to protecting their lives. Do you think they can take care of Americans? They can't do it for their own countrymen. Actor Gael Garcia Bernal, who campaigned for Andrés Manuel López Obrador, tweeted in a expletive-laden tweet, "Why the F did we vote for you? Mm-hmm. You can't provide security." He said it stays like this when he was talking about the massacre, that make people want to close it for health purposes. What's it called?
Condemned,
yeah. Mm-hmm. Condemn Mexico because of the danger that it represents. And this was a guy that campaigned for AMLO. AMLO has a second very, very ugly incident just 2 weeks ago, where in Coahuila, as an operation took place to arrest and then extradite to the United States the 2 children of El Chapo Guzman, there was again another shootout. This one lasting 5 hours or 6 hours, with a total of 14 dead people when I last reported on it, and which resulted in no arrests of these 2 Chapo Guzman kids. They let them go.
Yeah.
They let them go in the video. And by the way, there were cartel members in 4 different or 5 different locations around the city, strategically placed, murdering people randomly and not randomly. And by that I mean that they have surrounded, for example, the barracks of the soldiers' wives and children, basically holding hostages the families of the people out there on this operation to arrest the Guzman kids. Either you let them go or we kill your family. The first thing the police officers did when Ovidio, Chapo Guzman's son, and his brother came out, I can't remember his mother's name. It sounds like Aguililla, I can't remember. Anyway, when those two guys came out, the first thing the officers said to them was, you would think it would be like, get on the ground, or something like that, right? No. It was, here, holding out a phone, call your men off. Please tell them out there to stop shooting. That is what the people in Mexico face. That is what you watched. How in Mexico there are autodefensas. These are their own militias. And they're sanctioned by the government. They're trained by the government. Why? Because at least that way they can regulate these militias in some way. To some extent, because many of the people that carry in Mexico do not carry legally. They're not registered anywhere.
Yeah.
Gun control is much more controlled. There's extreme gun control in Mexico. And so, it's extremely hard to get a gun if you're a resident like the LeBaron family trying to defend their kids and wives, which is why many of them carry illegally and openly say that. But if you're a criminal, everybody's got a gun.
Yeah.
So that is exactly why these militias rise up. Towns like the one that I just told you about that waited 4 hours with nobody coming, they have to defend their children, their towns, their businesses somehow. And the president of Mexico has responded to what we have shown you with this human trafficking, smuggling operations, with these multi-billion-dollar organized crime operations that are killing people. Over 26,000 people so far this year in AMLO's administration alone. And all he has to say is, abrazos no balazos. It rhymes, so it sounds pretty in Spanish. But that means we need to approach this problem of mayhem and murder in our country with abrazos, with hugs. No balazos, not with bullets. That's what he said. And Hugo Castro, one of the people in the, organized trafficking or smuggling operation that has been running people through the country that I have been talking to you about, the one that recently had his shelter on playas raided.
Yeah.
The one you may recall, which Arizona patriot Jen Harrison and Paloma for Trump were able to gain access to, no problema, but which many people cannot gain access to, including the National Guard, apparently.
Yeah, really.
Suddenly, there is a very public squabble, fight between Hugo Castro and Father Solalinde, Alejandro Solalinde. Here's a post, and I want to get to the bottom of it, and I'm going to be investigating further. What is this about? Is it for show? What are your thoughts, Duke?
I don't know.
Take a look at it.
Okay.
Well, we've seen a lot of fights that, are kind of unexplainable. This is Father Solalinde, the human rights defender, the Hermanos en el Camino shelter manager, owner, whatever, person that has been at the Tijuana border defending and working with Pueblos Sin Fronteras, but then more recently has called them out. I had not, and of course, as you know, he baptized the son the son of Hugo Castro, and Enrique Morones, the executive director, or at least he was until very recently. Apparently, he's taking on another job or something, leaving permanently. You knew there was an interim director because I just told you. Dulce Garcia, the one that was in the video recently in the confrontation with Hugo and Border Patrol, is the interim director. Well, these people, all of this to say these people were peas in a pod. Even baptizing each other's kids and hanging out with each other. And suddenly they're fighting. And it's very mysterious to me. In this post, Castro says, on many occasions I've asked myself, when will he wake up? And he's referring to Alejandro Solalinde. When will he wake up? The faith and the illusion of the fourth transformation. I am sharing the post of our dear, our companion, Sister Leti Escalabriana. Escalabriana is not really her name. It's a type of nuns. It's a type of, what are they called? Duke?
Sisters?
Yeah, but I don't know what kind of nuns. There's different kinds of nuns.
I don't know.
There are different kinds of monks.
I just had Catholic ones growing up.
Well, these are all Catholic ones too, Duke, but they're called a certain kind of name for the different.
I don't know it.
Anyway, I can't remember it right now. It's a thing like, it's not sect, but I can't think of the word. But anyway, that's the type of nun they are. And there's these types of nuns that work or run a shelter, I believe in Guadalajara. I could be wrong. I think this nun travels. I think she's at more than one shelter, or she has been, because I've noticed her with people in Mexico City. And, obviously she is one of those people that's at the forefront of human rights defending stuff. So Hugo shares the post by Sister Leti, and Sister Leti posts about having, being upset, basically, at Father Solalinde for being blind. She calls him blind in this post. And she says, there is no blinder man. That's how it starts, and then it has the ellipsis. Blah, blah, dot, dot, dot. There is no blinder man. And what that means is that it refers to a Mexican saying. I think there is an American saying that says, there is none so blind than those who refuse to see. Yeah. Isn't that a saying?
Yep, I've heard that.
And this is basically referring to that same saying. So she's making fun of him. He doesn't want to see. What doesn't he want to see? Well, according to this post, she says to him, my dear Alejandro, our friendship also brings us to truthfulness. Migrant policy, which is being carried out currently by the government of President AMLO, is an aggressive policy which is also violent, militant, and abusive. It is so distant, so very distant from the discourse of human rights. Our responsibility, and she's talking like, we're clergy. Our responsibility as people of faith goes beyond that of having a friendship to any political figure. It is our responsibility with the gospel and with the proposal of Jesus Christ, the person, and the respect for their dignity is above everything in the fourth or the fifth transformation. From the left to the right, Republican or conservative, Democrat or I don't know what. You cannot deny what is evident. Migrant policy scrutiny is the incoherence of the governance of this president of Mexico on migrant policy. He has not he's not differed from his predecessors, even though he wishes to whisper sweet nothings in our ear with his discourse of humanitarianism, and in truth, he contradicts himself. Not like that. Andres Manuel, not like that. And then she links an article that speaks negatively about the pastor, Solalinde, Father Solalinde, in which it acknowledges that Solalinde is defending the use of National Guards to round up undocumented migrants. But you remember I showed you that those undocumented migrants were attacking the police, burning property, protesting, causing problems, and refusing to become, documented people. Here's the article that I referred to that she was linking to. And in it, of course, you see that he is saying that this is something that needed to be done. It says, during a presentation on his book, The Kingdom of Heaven, Replanning for a Radical Life, in the city's capital, Father Solalinde said that the militarized use of the National Guard was necessary to save what? I'm not understanding. La militarización del Instituto Nacional para salvar a la dependencia y libertad de posibles actos de corrupción. Era necesaria. That the National Guard was necessary in combating migration. Adding that only a strict hand could change this situation. And it also calls him an activist and says that he is, supporting President AMLO's migration policy. So, once again, I'm kind of at a loss because I'm noticing that the president of Mexico, which heretofore had been turning a blind eye to all of these different operations that are bringing all of these quote-unquote asylum seekers to our gate, are now using National Guard, defending the right for the militarization, as well as infighting, like with what we see with Hermana Leti and Solalinde. Leti also compared what's going on in Mexico with cartels. And she talked about the chaos in the Culiacan shootout. In her post, she refers to the attempt to arrest those two gentlemen, and then she posts that Mexico's government is bent over, basically. And what does she say there? The first word she is upset about is Trump. We've heard this from Hugo Castro. We've heard this repeatedly from a lot of people, including Father Solalinde. Remember the documentary film premiere thing that he was at, where he said that the racist policies of Trump, something.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
That, yeah. He jumped right into Trump's the problem.
Yeah. So here she is with the same kind of post saying Trump, the cartel, the Sinaloa cartel, the Jalisco Nueva Generación cartel. What's next? What's left?
Mm-hmm.
And here's a post about the cartel's power in Mexico. So you can get an idea by checking out this video. I told you that Chapo Guzman's 2 children were set free because people did not want to continue with the shootout. The president said he backed this up because it was more important to protect lives than to catch these criminals. And he said that, it was the right thing to do. He backed it up. The day that those arrests, that failed operation, and the shootout happened, the lawyer for the Guzman family went on television, on national television, to thank the president, personally thank the president, and call him a stand-up Christian for not putting more people's lives at risk.
Yeah.
Even alluding to a prior president that had attempted to arrest people in his family or his cartel, which resulted in the deaths of 23 young men. And there's a reason why the government is completely, is not secure, is not doing their jobs. Why people are, they're asking for help. Why the LeBaron family is asking Trump and the United States for help. Why Americans and even Mexicans in Mexico cannot seek justice, cannot get justice, cannot find justice. Because the cartels have so much power. Check out this video. In the beginning, I need you to listen. These people went through a checkpoint. You're going to see there's a checkpoint in Mexico for cops. They were looking for people. And this, I don't know if this guy that's driving is actually part of Ovidio Guzman's gang, or if he's just saying that because he knows the cops respect him. But he says, somos gente de Ovidio. You're going to hear the Ovidio. Somos gente de Ovidio. He says the first part pretty quickly to the cop. And the cop just lets him go through.
Oh, okay. I got it.
So that's what you're listening for. Check it out.
Somos gente de Ovidio.
Go on through. Did you hear that? I want you to play it again.
Somos gente de Ovidio.
Go on through.
Yep. Pass on through.
So, if that is how the police respond to organized crime, they're like, oh, you're a criminal. Go right on through, sir.
You have the VIP fast track.
What does that tell you that people, regular people, can expect? Well, Hermana Leti, here's the next post, was obviously considered a close friend and one who is fighting for human rights. Do you remember the videos of Irineo in Tapachula with the National Guard stopping the caravan of Africans and Haitians that were turned around and sent back to the...
Oh, yeah, I remember that.
And he was out there following the National Guard. He did all these videos.
Yep.
It was raining. They tossed some water on him from the...
Yeah.
And then he was like...
They're raiding us and they're forcing people back. People are just like leisurely walking,
And he said, what a shame it is How embarrassing it is to live in this country.
Yeah.
That's the video. That's the post. Do you recognize the military vehicles?
Oh yeah, I do now.
That's the That's a basically a screen capture of those videos. And she is she's tagged in the post, as you can see. And this post is railing against the National Guard. So I want to show you the connection between this nun and the people that we know, like Irineo, are bad news, like Hugo Castro, who we know are bad news, have an organization led by a guy that did a narco wedding.
Yeah.
Organized a narco wedding at the border. Okay, so we know what Border Angels does, and we know who they do it in conjunction with. Pueblos Sin Fronteras, Al Otro Lado. We've shown you ample evidence of people, volunteers, employees, what have you, doing criminal things. And the fact of the matter is that Hermana Leti is either blissfully unaware or turns a blind eye and doesn't care what Hugo Castro, what Irineo, what Pueblos Sin Fronteras are doing with and to the migrants. Hermana Leti also posts a lot about the Trump administration, which is something you hear many of these activists blaming for the increase in the migrants traveling and seeking asylum, when it is they who have generated this false crisis and who are monetizing it, making money off of it. Would you like to show that post? Here she's talking about Trump, and she says, sometimes tyrants fall from their throne. They're not around forever. But I will remind you that these folks have been friends for a very long time. You may recall it was a couple of years back that Hugo Castro posted about being kidnapped.
Oh.
And this is an old post from 2017 that was posted by Gaba Cortez, Hugo Castro's baby mama, wife. I'm not sure if they're married or not, but in it, she's thanking the people that did support them when he was missing. You remember he was missing?
Yeah.
And never explained how he went missing. They found him and he had amnesia or refused to tell anyone what the hell happened.
Yep.
Even though, folks, and Irineo gave interviews, and she gave interviews saying he might not be kidnapped by cartels. He could be having a PTSD from his bipolar.
That's right.
attack.
I remember that. Yeah.
Well, I learned through a source, a reliable source, that Irineo obviously lied to publications at the time when he was questioned about the whereabouts of Hugo Castro, because he knew and was with Hugo Castro at the time of him being kidnapped. I know also that people like Father Solalinde were instrumental in getting him to safety, in helping in that instance. Solalinde knows what happened with Hugo Castro. I don't know, but maybe another another person that knows is this Sister Leti, because she's tagged in the post section 2, Gaba post 2. You already showed one, right?
Yep.
And in Gaba post 2, she goes on to talk about, how difficult that time was, and she recognized through the experience of her husband being, sequestered and beaten and all the things that happened, who her real friends were and who the real human rights defenders were.
Yep.
And, in the last post, she tags Sister Leti. Solalinde, Sister Leti, Wilner Metellus, SMR Wilner Metelius. And there's a link to the GoFundMe from the time he was kidnapped. This particular GoFundMe was for his healing, specifically because they needed to transfer him to an American hospital. They couldn't have him in a Mexican hospital. Not safe. Not safe enough for him. Remember, I just recently showed you for his birthday, he was raising $20K.
Yeah. And check out this one. It's up to 18 at this time.
And then back then they probably made their goal of $20K.
Yeah.
For him, remember, this all was a result of him escorting migrants and being kidnapped by what he described were organized criminals that were worshippers of death. He did sound cuckoo at the time.
Yeah.
I showed you the videos of this. He sounded super cuckoo. And here are pictures from that GoFundMe back then, featuring his wife, his baby, and Solalinde. That's right on the GoFundMe.
Wow.
These people were tight. What happened? What happened? They know too much about each other, in my opinion.
I guess.
To simply start throwing each other under the bus. And if, Solalinde knew, did Leti know? Because she also shared his GoFundMe and his wanted posters. Here's her post about Castro's kidnapping.
Okay.
And I'm not trying to minimize this crime. What happened to the LeBaron family is a horrible tragedy, and it is the product of the organized criminals here. But some of these people get themselves into hot water because of their criming, because of their proximity, because they are working with. I have shown you the backgrounds of some of the people in this border support network. That alone should curl your toes. I have shown you the criminal activity of many of these con artivists. And then on top of that, they've got these GoFundMes where people are sending them thither and yon, sending them to hospitals after they get their ribs broken and bones broken because they're out running around with organized crime. I didn't say that. They said that. And then they said nothing. They didn't clarify anything. They didn't explain it. Nothing. But I do find it very strange. And Hugo Castro posted about this conference in which Solalinde and many other well-known, prominent figures fighting for human rights appeared.
Wow.
She's tagged. All of this has to do with the dignity of migrants. All of this has to do with Mexican, Latino people on the migration issue that have a following, that have power, whose voices matter. Okay? And in this community, there was few people like Solalinde. In fact, Sister Leti posted about him being nominated for the Nobel Prize in 2017.
Wow.
I don't know if he got it, but she did say she was very thankful for her very dear friend Alejandro Solalinda's testimony about her life. She sends her love and admiration.
Wow.
And now she's calling him a blind idiot.
That's quite a change.
It's a 180, and it's coming from a nun.
Mm-hmm.
She's throwing rocks hard. This is a nun publicly poop posting a guy that was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize just a little while ago, and who was not that long ago at the premiere of their Humano documentary on the caravan. What happened in that short period of time? Or is this real? I don't know. There are so many scams going on, and frankly, people are making money off of it. These people know exactly what is going on. Let me give you just one example. I've shown you and I've told you about a whole bunch of different things.
Yeah.
Here's one of the latest. Check this out. In this news story, it talks about how more and more Mexican women are marrying for convenience, basically marrying for money.
Okay.
And this is how the thing goes. This is how you do it. According to this article, they're charging 40,000 pesos to marry specifically Cubans.
Oh.
Maybe the Cubans carry more cash. I don't know. But it says that information from the what is it called where you register to marry? The
Courthouse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. From the clerk of court?
Yep. Yeah.
Is that in the past few weeks, they have had an uptick in the number of people getting married, migrants getting married to Mexican nationals.
Oh, okay.
And according to this report, these women they have to agree to stay married for a year.
Okay.
For the cash. That amount of money gets you 1 year of marriage only. And they've said that they're marrying Cubans as a way to give the Cubans a way to travel and, get through the country to go try to go to the United States. Meanwhile, they get money, and they're taking advantage of the need of these migrants to have some form of documentation so that they could travel through Mexico without restrictions and then get to the U.S. border to seek asylum. So this is how this is working for them. And according to the article, they interviewed this woman, and she said that she met this Cuban guy, and he was detained in Tapachula. He couldn't continue north, and so they made an agreement. She received 30,000 pesos and cash, and she married him. And they notarized a document agreement between them that they would get married. They would get divorced in a year.
Well,
No,
notarize.
this sounds like fraud. Doesn't it sound like
It sounds like it's a setup.
fraud? I don't know if they should have been giving this interview to the news because I think they're documenting a crime here.
Sounds like it to me.
But that's what they did. And number 3 here says that three officials at the clerk of courts said that they have had this uptick of Cubans marrying Mexicans. Only 3 of those marriages were women marrying men born in Mexico. But in all of these cases, that's what they needed in order to travel through the country without papers. And other countries don't really question who you marry.
Okay.
So you don't have to show that you're having sex or that you're you're not required to do that to get married to someone in another country. All you have to do is show the proper documentation and have a wedding, and then that's it. In order to deny someone a marriage license in Mexico, which can be construed as a violation of the person's human rights to deny them the right to get married, said one of the officials there. So you would have to be obviously committing some kind of crime or fraud. Otherwise, you're not going to get asked any questions.
I see.
So these kinds of things, in reality, what I'm trying to get here to is that these kinds of types of frauds and loopholes and things that people have been taking advantage of, will continue to take advantage of in Mexico, they're easy to get away with. As you have seen, right?
Yep.
You've seen crooked lawyers practicing law without a license in Mexico, writing contracts to people they say they don't have contracts with, making false marriages and giving false marriage certificates to people, all sorts of crazy things. And you've also seen the antics at the border.
Oh, yeah.
And may I remind you that these people are committing crimes. They're committing assaults, but they're also getting a lot of attention, and there's a reason. In this video by Dark Sky, and it's just a clip, he explains, this is a guy that films, but he does it ethically. He doesn't chase people down and attack them. He doesn't threaten migrants. He doesn't physically assault people. He doesn't impede the work of Border Patrol. He did contact Border Patrol and let people know. He's polite to the migrants, even offers them water, says hello to the kids. He's just filming. He's just gathering evidence, and he's contacting the authorities in charge of doing their jobs there.
Okay.
That's it.
Yep.
And he's contrasting what he does and how he does it to Arizona Patriots and Pendeja for fraud. Excuse me, Paloma for Trump. So here is that clip. Dark Sky Watcher 74. That's his full YouTube channel name.
This is the video that he made yesterday. That he's going to do an interview about.
Mike, a member of Arizona Patriots, assaulting me down on the border, just to give you guys kind of an idea of what types of people these are. Now, I was down in Yuma covering that border topic, and I observed a guy staring into my vehicle with binoculars all day long, following me around.
So this is Dark Sky Watcher 74. This is his video.
Nothing but hostility.
This is going viral.
Into these three
So
video
you guys are
clips
here
right
seeing
here.
it here first.
Son, go, let's go get them. Let's go get them. Guys, who's down there?
Look at this.
Told you.
For Harrison.
Vámonos. No pueden entrar. Se regresan. Vámonos. Se regresan. No pueden entrar. Aquí no es su país. Te regresas. No. Aquí no puedes entrar. Tienes que entrar con papeles. No.
Now, that's the main confrontation with Paloma from two different perspectives. We have Paloma's perspective and the perspective from the Atomic News reporter, who, after watching the entire video, I would say Atomic News is more of an activist. That's not journalism, what they were doing either. Now we're going to go ahead and get into a clip that comes just moments later as they're speaking about scaring this kid and him wetting his pants, and where Paloma's actually admitting that she put both of her hands on these people.
It's like I pushed them and they don't even react to that. They don't even care. They don't even care. They have no respect for anyone anymore.
What they're doing.
Yeah. They're perfectly trained.
Oh my God.
I physically pushed him away. Like he was like, nope.
Good job.
Really? Yeah.
Wow. See?
Yeah, I pushed two of the guys.
This is what the media.
Four. Three men and three. No. Yeah, three. Three and a child.
Yeah.
Who peed his pants, by the way.
Yeah, right? Oh,
He did.
I saw that.
He did.
So there she's talking about how he peed his pants. I'm sorry I cut it just short of where she said, because it's so stressful out here. I do have the full video clip that I will upload somewhere else for you guys to link over to and view that if you want to, from both different perspectives. Now, that type of behavior is not acceptable. Not on the border, not anywhere. It doesn't matter where you're at. You shouldn't be doing that, especially if you're there doing journalism, but they're there doing activism. Even activism, keep your hands to yourself. And to do that to a kid, that's not right. It's not the kid's fault. I've spent a year down on the border. None of the people that I have filmed at this point have approached me and been violent with me. None of the BP has approached me and been violent with me and yelled and screamed at me about don't do this, don't do that. In fact, every BP officer in Yuma thanked me for being professional while I was down there doing my filming, and for not specifically being like these groups here. And he was referring to Arizona Patriots. Well, actually, every single one of them that thanked me was referring to Arizona Patriots.
Right. Those are the people. Arizona Patriots. And Paloma. And do you remember what they did the next day or on that weekend? They went to Tijuana.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And
To the shelter.
Yep. And then they marched right into that shelter of Hugo Castro.
That's right.
All of that happened at the same time. As you will recall, she and Tata's hanging out of her shirt all the time, gun-toting, whatever. Arizona Patriots' Jen Harrison was with her. She was with her. She was talking in that video.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And she was with her in Tijuana. And more recently, Paloma has been telling people to report our station. This is threat number 80 bajillion from Pendeja for Fraud, because at one point she threatened to sue us for $200 million.
Oh, yeah.
There was a police report she filed. Then she said she filed another police report because she said someone vandalized her car. And all of these things that she has posted about and that she dreams about in her vivid imagination.
Yeah.
None of which have come to any sort of... Oh, she also threatened to go to my family's house in Mexico. She threatened to come to Mexico while I was there.
Yeah.
She threatened to go and harass my family after I left. Oh, the many, many delusional threats of Pendeja for Fraud.
Yep.
The latest of which is...
Paloma Zuniga Delint. I will not only not let them falsely accuse me of anything, but keep dragging my name through their dirty mud because they have been using me for views and pathetic donations on a low-class nonprofit, low-power wannabe radio station that only gets views if they trash me with the most ridiculous lies because they are home, bored, no life, just watching me go on their screen. Otherwise, without me, they get 60 views. Without me, low energy, not fun. Criminal reports have already been filed in California and Mexico. I hope when this gets...
And then to go to the next one.
Okay.
There. And she goes on.
Oh, she goes on and on.
Uh-huh.
Just the right one?
Yep.
About me, I've been forwarded specific segments where I am directly accused of things that are not only logical, such as stalking a man.
Illogical. Oh, she doesn't know English.
Okay. Such as stalking a man.
Oh, not logical, she says.
Okay, not logical, such as stalking a man with no job, nothing to his name, and much older than me, trying to want him, in quotes. So now my attorneys in Mexico, my attorneys, plural, in Mexico, are very upset at how far these desperates have taken this because of my large social media growth over the past year, etc., etc.
Large social media growth.
Yeah.
She's lost all of her pages.
Yeah.
When she says that we only have 60 people watching unless she's on our show, Is she referring to her lame videos in the dark?
Yeah, it seems to me that she does all this projection. You know, it's like anything comes out of her mouth, it's actually she's talking about herself.
Yeah.
And she's talking about all these. They hardly get any views and all this stuff. And I'm like,
She's talking about herself.
the video you just said it on only has 63 views. You must be talking about yourself. The very end of this said, I will not only not let them falsely accuse me of anything, but keep dragging my name through their dirty mud because they have been using me for views.
Hey, our mud ain't dirty.
That's right. We got clean mud up
Dirty
here.
mud.
Our mud's frozen right now. It's in North Dakota.
That's true. It's cold. And North Dakota alike. And I don't know if you could see this. It's kind of blurred, but in the background of that post, she put the information for our radio station in that little slip of paper that's on there. It's typed on there. And it says
I see.
KPPP, blah, 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 blah.
I
She
see.
keeps telling people to go after our FCC license.
Yeah.
And hey, Little Troll, keep on bringing the truth. Little Troll says, well,
Oh.
you are very welcome, and we will keep bringing the truth. It doesn't matter how many times Paloma or any of the other people we have exposed and will continue to expose on this show, on a Mexican Crossing Lines. Every time we are threatened, I know that it is a ploy to get me to go, maybe I shouldn't do this anymore.
Oh, yeah, stuff like that is. It's always a scare tactic. It's like, ooh, we're going to sue you. We've had people start GoFundMes to try to sue us, you know. Then you look at your
No,
GoFundMe.
they started GoFundMes to get a GoFundMe.
Yeah.
But
they're going to do this huge class action lawsuit and sue everybody. And you see in there they raised $10. And, you know, it's like, we just keep on doing the work, you know. And it's like the work leads us to the truth. So it's like, we're not scared anymore. But people yell it all the time. We've heard it before. And it's usually because they're at a point where they're feeling really vulnerable. They're like, oh my God, all the stuff that I've been doing and saying has been very, very public. And now, you know, they're talking about it. They're analyzing it. I got to spin this the other direction. She's been the queen of spin until lately, you know, her spin rod is like worn out and stuff. And she's like, I can't spin anything anymore. And she just comes and says blatant lies. And people are going, what?
I know that for a lot of folks out there, especially in this time of social media, they're enamored or they become really accustomed to hearing from a particular live streamer. And they start to feel like they have a relationship to that person, like they know them. And for a lot of folks, having a relationship with someone where they feel like there's mutual admiration or respect isn't easy.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people who have been given some kind of much needed attention from characters like Jen or Paloma or Nicole or Lolly B or Jake Lee Harris or any of these people I've presented to you, Pitaya Queen, when you feel like they feel like they have something to lose, like there's a relationship built here, and it's very hard to hold them accountable, to criticize them, to call them out, or even to believe that what they are doing is damaging. I've seen a lot of people defend people and actions that were indefensible going all the way back to Standing Rock. And I would say this is what happened as a result of what this person did. This is what happened. Like I told you with regard to this video, this is what Paloma is doing. What happened as a result of Paloma going and supporting and stalking Maria Mesa? Maria Mesa got expedited entry into the United States. What happened as a result of Paloma going viral for pushing and making a migrant child pee? She earned hatred for Latinos for Trump. She earned a rabid hatred for Latinos for Trump. Nobody could stand up to that. Nobody could say, oh, yeah, that kid deserved it. Nobody could say anything in defense of her. That was her image, Duke. Do you remember?
Oh, yeah, for sure. You know, actually, when that... I've watched, when I saw that video go out, and, actually, I remember we actually showed that a long time ago.
Yeah.
Well before it went viral. It was just like, oh, that's disgusting.
June.
But also, she's been someone who turns on Mexicans all the time. During Mexican Independence Day, she was like showing videos of stuff happening in Chicago and saying those Mexicans are horrible. They don't even know who they are. They're stuck between two worlds. But of course, she's the only Mexican that knows everything about Mexico, which she hardly ever talks about anything from Mexico.
No.
Some of you might have followed us when a couple of weeks ago when we were in Mexico City and Guadalajara, and where we were at historic places, churches, museums, and we were talking to people. We were on the streets and showing some of the cultural, the sites you can go see when you're in that wonderful part of the world. You shouldn't do any of that. All you ever see her is sitting in her car, and I've been to Tijuana, I went there and saw Oscar and Sydney, and I went there like last April. And I was like, wow, there's a lot of history in this city, and there's a lot of buildings, there's a lot of architecture, there's a lot of museums. We were there to work and do interviews, but I kept on seeing things that I'd love to spend a little more time where I could actually see some of the things that are historic in this place. She doesn't do any of that. And what she does is that she kind of just hammers on trying to get people more mad at Mexicans and give herself a pass. She's the good Mexican. She's the notoriety Mexican. She's a Mexican with perfect English, and it's just like she's not, and she professes, and it's disgusting to watch how she does that. The picture behind me came right from that video we were just watching. It's a still shot of that video.
Don't forget she's a spokesperson for Lexit.
Yeah.
Don't forget she was just in the White House next to our president.
Yeah.
The woman over your shoulder who was pushing a migrant child. Careful where you put your fingers.
It's a picture. Sorry about that.
This woman, that image, look how she dressed for the day.
Yeah.
How are you representing American citizens, the president of the U.S., looking like a hoe bag?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yep.
And pushing a child and making him pee and standing there and going, I pushed him. I pushed. And she is so proud. How is that not a denigration of our president, of our country, of conservatives, of Latinos, of nobody wants to be represented by Paloma.
Yep.
No one. She doesn't care. Either she thinks she's still a good representative. If I really cared about the image of the president, if I really cared about the image of Lexit, if I really care, I would say, you know what? I'm not the best person to do this.
Yeah, exactly.
I have burnt my image.
They should be saying that. Those people, I don't know what they're doing. I'm like, what? They still have Paloma as their little doggy that they run and do the dog and pony show with. And I thought, she's horrible. She's horrible for what your organization supposedly stands for. And I thought, oh God, these guys are, they are like, what's going on? And they must be like really hard up for anyone to be able to exploit. And so I don't know what's going on with them.
So you're telling me that a political campaign, you know how it is in politics. They're running a candidate or somebody that's a spokesperson for the Democratic Party or whatever, and they found a sex tape, or they found some, pictures with cocaine in the pictures.
Yeah.
Or they find some party pictures with you at the Playboy Mansion or at some party that looks like there's a bunch of like scantily clad women, escorts possibly. These things might put you in jeopardy of continuing to be a spokesperson of anything.
Yeah, exactly.
And this woman in particular has had a slew of accusations, of photos, of stories. But she doesn't care. Because if she did care about the image, she would get away from, and she would go nowhere near. Look at some of her victims, in fact. These were people, many of whom also were heavily involved in politics, in live streaming, and being outspoken, and being supportive of the president. A whole bunch of the people around her, because most of her victims are conservatives. Aha! Another clue!
Yeah, exactly.
All of them, right?
Yep.
And then, she only attacks conservatives. She makes Latinos for Trump look stupid, incompetent, criminal, and she doesn't care, and she keeps on doing it. Interesting.
Yeah.
Both her and this Arizona Patriot woman, maybe they think that dressing the way that they do with the Daisy Duke shorts and the wife beaters that make their boobs look like they're going to literally pop out of their shirts.
Yeah.
But to me, it seems like more than a coincidence that these women dress more like they're going to a meat market than a political rally. You suppose they're going to a meat market? There is a Paloma meat market, dude.
Oh, yes. There's also a deli of produce and groceries.
But, you know, frankly, the Arizona Patriots lady is so similar to Paloma. Maybe that is why they got along so well. Let's go to her arrest first, Duke.
All right.
This is Arizona Patriot Jen Harrison, and in her recent address, in which she was arrested for suspicion of identity theft. That was the charge. And according to the article in AZ Central, during this arrest, she was, which was a class 4 felony.
Wow.
That's pretty...
Yeah, it's a pretty high charge.
Yeah, it's not good. She doesn't seem too concerned about it, but, you know, I thought it was ironic that this is a crime used to arrest undocumented immigrants using, you know, fake IDs and stuff.
Yeah, of course.
And Jen is said in this article to have been above the law because she threw a fit at the police station and she didn't feel like she should be treated like a criminal.
Huh.
And also, this article talks about her being above the law in this second page where it says that police said she kicked over a trash can and used profanity with them. And according to the probable cause statement filed against Harrison, the victim did not know that she did not give permission for Jen to do this.
Yeah.
So, and she would be willing to aid in the prosecution of this crime. Wow. So, it makes you think because you're like, whoa, this is a relative. This is there's somebody close to the person. And then it talks about her lawyer saying that she was quoted to say that they shouldn't run this story until the truth comes out about what really happened. Please don't print this story.
Oh, yeah, don't print the story till the trial's over.
Because you're going to embarrass me, and people are going to find stuff out.
Yeah.
And in the second page that talks about the judge that recently had the Arizona Patriots members sign a consent agreement in order to avoid the lawsuits brought against them by the ACLU and a number of churches and nonprofit drop-off shelters locations in Phoenix, where they had been trespassing, harassing, and threatening people. In a video in which they talk about these Arizona churches and the intimidation and what they were doing, Jen laughs and says, "I was trespassing."
Huh.
Yeah, I know I was trespassing. And she tries to kind of laugh off the fact that they signed off this consent agreement because, as you know, hers is the image of being this gun-toting, won't back down, we'll break the law if we have to type of people. In this Arizona church's post, where she's talking about, in the article that's talking about the lawsuit that was just settled, that she was kind of making fun of in this video I talked about. It says that they had been intimidating people and making defamatory statements. And so that is exactly why they were being taken to court.
Huh.
If you'll recall, they were raising money to go to court. And in addition to that, they ended up settling. They had to pay less than $1,000 as a fine in this settlement.
Huh,
And
really?
in addition to that, they had to agree to everything that was requested in this consent agreement.
Wow.
Basically, it's like the ACLU was going to take them to court to get legally binding findings that these people were, committing some form of criminal type of harassment, stalking, trespass.
Yeah.
That was putting these churches and the members of their congregation or the people they were serving at risk. And that would give them some form of legal action, which would include fines and possibly other judgments. Instead, because she didn't have money and it was going to be expensive and they were going to lose, because as she admitted in the video, she actually trespassed, and they didn't deny that they were doing a lot of the things that were alleged against them. The simple fact is they didn't have any other choice. And this was the cheapest way out. So in agreeing to everything that the churches asked for, which included her not ever being able to use a megaphone to protest and yell at people about anything having to do with any of these churches or this issue.
Wow.
Like basically, they put a gag order on her and Arizona Patriots and made them wipe their pages and made them stick their tail between their legs, and all of that with nothing really to show for it. So for all of that bravado, what happened?
Yeah, really.
All of that bravado, they came up with this settlement agreement, and then she got arrested. And so this was posted about what happened by her. This is her responding to the, incident. She said it was a jealous ex. You want to read that, honey?
Yeah, I just got to get the...
BS charges up there.
Yeah, this is... I'm going to make it a little bit bigger so I can read it better. There we go. Jennifer Harrison, jealous ex-husbands. BS charges. I can't say anything till I speak to my lawyer on Monday. Family drama aired all over the local news. Janice Davis says, Jennifer Harrison, terrible. Jennifer Harrison, absolutely. I got arrested based on a BS claim from my ex-in-laws, a.k.a. elderly woman. FYI, don't use family accounts on anything ever. This bogus charge basically equates to giving someone's access to your fry fuel points set up under their phone number and then calling the police because they allegedly stole your points. That's how stupid it is. But the media is running wild with it. And Jennifer Harrison says, what? That's insane.
That's what Jennifer said. And maybe this is making a mountain out of a molehill. It is a felony, as you saw. And the person that is upset about it claims they want to take this to some form of justice.
Yeah.
What I read between the lines is you don't take your family or friend to jail unless they done you wrong.
Yeah, unless there's some problem.
You know? Usually family and friends don't call the cops on each other unless you're a dirty dog and you've been doing people wrong for a while.
Yeah, exactly.
You know what I mean?
Exactly. And it's like, oh, no one should just use their family points. It's like, yeah, probably shouldn't. You probably shouldn't just take your family stuff and go use it without talking to them, getting their permission, having their consent. But if you just go steal it from them, and apparently it's against the law, there was charges filed. So it's kind of like, that minimizing of like, oh, hey, media just made it a big deal. Well, I think your family made it a big deal too, because they're the ones that are pressing charges.
Right. And maybe this all goes away, but it did bring up a lot of other anger from other family members and comments, including this post that her daughter made. And if you go to the next post, you can actually see it's a little bit bigger. This is the post by Brittany Harrison, Jen Harrison's daughter. Would you read that?
It's a little bit blurry, but just want to show you the real Jennifer and Mikey. Don't let this page and these people fool you. She has abandoned her family for this piece of bleep who had to block me to post a couple pictures, in quotes, of him and, in quotes, mom. They also aren't doing blank for this country. After all they're doing is running around drugged out and holding signs. She's doing this all for the fame and attention from creepy guys online.
Now, who does that sound like?
Well, it sounds like the flock together, the flocking birds. She's a drug addict, cheater, liar, and she doesn't value family. Real conservatives, right? And don't even get me started on Mikey. He has lost his kids too. LOL. They deserve each other, and these are the people you look up to.
So this is way more than somebody using somebody's hotel points.
Yeah, I think it's not just about the points.
I don't think it's about the points, Duke. Mm-hmm. When I saw that they took her to jail and somebody was giving her felony charges for some hotel points, I'm like,
what?
I bet there's something more going on here than hotel points.
Yeah.
This sounds to me like there is a family feud and there are reasons. Let me tell you something. If y'all are listening, if you're listening out there, keeping these issues in like a pressure cooker, not dealing with them, not resolving them, leads to somebody putting you in jail for some damn points.
Yeah.
Even if it wasn't fair, it wasn't right, or maybe it wasn't even true. If they've got other beef, if they've got other grief with you, they're going to come after you until they feel they get justice. Mm-hmm. And this is the other post made by Brittany Harrison, Jen's daughter.
And she says, I'm embarrassed and truly disgusted at the lies she is trying to blast all over the internet. My dad is not abusive. My mom used to be and probably is back on meth. She has always been toxic to the entire family, and now she is publicly doing it. My father is a good man, and the reason why me and my father grew up to be good people.
Brother?
My father is a good man, and she's the reason why me and my brother grew up to be good people. Thank you. She openly cheated on my dad and hacked and stole from everyone. Her and Mikey deserve each other.
Hacking.
Yeah.
Stealing.
Yeah.
Cheating. Drug use.
Mm-hmm.
Lying about her ex being an abuser. Do you see the acting?
Yeah.
This is, according to her own daughter, this is an act. what she tries to portray, gun-toting conservative with, a nice bod. That's an extra added, right?
Yeah.
It is part of a veneer. There are things behind these characters. And is it any wonder that Paloma and her were hanging out together?
Yeah.
They both have a role to play. That's what this post from the daughter said.
Yeah.
She's been doing this for money and to get the attention of creepy men online. Check. Okay. Here's the post about something else they were doing, which is raising money.
Oh, GoFundMe.
You got to raise money for the lawsuit. Now read that, dude.
Yes. Jennifer Harrison, Mike Pavlak, Eduardo Jaime, and Jeremy Bronock of Arizona Patriots are still asking for money to defend themselves against the Southern Poverty Law Center lawsuit after it was settled.
Yeah.
After it was settled. What?
After it was settled, Duke.
They are scamming their followers out of money. Why is this still their pinned tweet when the case is over and Jen said they have no outstanding legal bills? Bunch of grifters. Get a job, Jen and crew. Wow.
Mm-hmm. Now, why wouldn't the daughter know the truth?
Yeah.
That's what she knows. The daughter of Jen knows the truth. And she said so. You read out?
Yeah, the Arizona Patriots, and it has a circled. Brittany Harrison. Beth Stannard, facts. I'm her daughter, and I think I would know the truth. Not some internet fan of hers. This article is the truth.
Now, this page is kind of a troll page. I had people sent me these screen captures. You see people circled stuff and saying, look.
Yeah, look at this.
But what really drew me in was the comments from the family. In this post, Jen's daughter talks about how she stole from their grandma. Jen stole from the grandma. And this is the daughter saying it, not the troll page, not the troll, the page that was the page creator obviously dislikes Jen and the Arizona Patriots, but the daughter doesn't have to go and post all over these different pages and be like, hey, let me tell you the truth. She don't have to do that. And she is. What does she say here?
Let's see. She says, Jennifer of Arizona Patriots even stole from her mother, according to her own daughter, and she hates immigrants. They're not committing crimes at the rate she is. And then you see Brittany says, Sean Scuppin, I'm not guilty. She frauded my elderly grandma. You are delusional.
So she's responding to someone that defended Jen by saying, what?
Yeah.
She's a fraud. She's not even talking about the charges that she got arrested for. She's just saying this is what she does.
Yeah.
That's not all she's been accused of. She also used fake press credentials to get into an event. Yep. And it says
she's been pulling cons for years, according to those close to her. She's using fake press passes to gain entry into events and access to speakers. A must read. Grifters gonna grift. Anyone know if this is illegal?
Well, I
Right-wing extremist falsely claims affiliations. Okay.
Yep, and she did. Here's the Arizona Mirror headline, which reads,
right-wing extremist falsely claims affiliations with international journalism groups.
One of them, Duke, was a organization for immigrant rights or something like that. And you can see here in this next thing that shows the fake ID she made there and some of the pictures that she took at the event. And she was posting about how she's the media, you know?
Yep.
That's from her Arizona Patriot accounts.
Wow.
I don't know if it's still there or not, but if you scroll to the bottom, you'll see that she claims to be with several different press organizations, which it turned out
She made it all up.
all of them denied that she belonged to them, and one didn't get back to them in time.
Wow.
So, no. And then they asked her about it, and she said she just admired those press organizations. She never said she was part of them. But you don't stick their logos on your fake press credentials then.
Yeah, exactly.
And this is a woman that marched around with the sign telling people that they needed to respect our laws. Here's that sign.
Whoops. One moment, please.
Oh, the irony.
Oh, funny. The irony. Respect our laws,
Meanwhile,
or we'll deport you.
Neither her nor her boyfriend apparently can. Here is a post about Tom Pavlok. This is about the guy, the boyfriend guy, Mike Pavlok, from his brother, Tom Pavlok. And the page itself comments on that fact, saying, "Holy crap, Jennifer Harrison and her boyfriend Mike Pavlok of Arizona Patriots, family members are saying that they're both con men and criminals. Typical Trumpsters. And they're yelling about following laws ad nauseum. A wall should be built around them or they should be deported. Those who yell the loudest."
Yeah.
What does Tom Pavlok say, dude?
He says Arizona Patriots and Patriot Movement, Arizona Patriot hate groups. That clown she's with is my brother. I can guarantee that she's exactly what's being described, just like he is, a punk, deadbeat, who's about to be busted for tax fraud. Yeah, I hope you see this, Mikey, because you committed your own felony and you're about to suffer the consequences. Wow.
What do you make of family members like this and the daughter of Jennifer Harrison publicly posting their dirty laundry on a hate page against them? What does that tell you about their relationship to these family members?
They're pretty mad. They're pretty mad at them. There's some unresolved issues that haven't been dealt with, and they're out there doing all this stuff and getting all this visibility and being all these news shows and being all these live streams, faking stuff here, faking stuff there, stealing stuff there. And people are glumming on to them. I mean, it wasn't too long ago when Paloma went with her right into that shelter, you know, and got access that all of a sudden was just let right in. And she's in there, and, you know, a couple months later, she's arrested. She's arrested for, you know, identity theft. She also, his other things have been exposed. You know, when they start digging deeper on you, you know, when they actually grab one thing on you, then other stuff starts to surface. And her family members are mad. And they're like, yeah, she did all this other stuff too. You know, if you're going to catch her, we want her to be caught and accountable for all the stuff she's done, you know, to them. You know, so that it's not a very good relationship, you know. She's not going there for Thanksgiving this year, I don't think.
And it tells you that they are not in communication on a regular basis with their family members, because you could be mad at each other. I don't think anybody has perfect relationships with their family, but you can call each other out privately. You don't got to do it in public.
Yeah.
Unless you have horrible relationships. And Jen's boyfriend, there's more on him. Jen's boyfriend apparently has a restraining order, Duke.
Really?
Because, for beating an ex-wife.
Oh, my God.
Now, this is all alleged. I haven't seen any kind of a restraining order, but this is posted by this page claiming that the person that took the restraining order out on him was his ex-wife.
Okay.
and it gives her stage name. I'm not going to read it, but the point being made by the page against the Patriot Movement, Arizona Patriots, calling them a hate group, says that anybody that has a restraining order against them like that is prohibited from carrying a firearm.
Oh, okay.
Anyone see him carrying one? They ask. Is he allowed to be with Jennifer, who always carries a firearm?
Yeah.
That's a really good question. She has one, meaning a gun, in the car when they're together.
Yeah.
Is that a violation of the protection order? I guess deadbeat dad beats chicks in addition to pulling cons instead of getting a job. And they complain about immigrants?
Very good point.
Now
Very good point.
remember, these people are supposed to be representatives of the Conservative Party,
Yeah.
of Trump, of people who want sensible immigration policy. How is using people like either of these two groups, either of these two individual women, anything other than giving complete support to the opposite side? How is their bumbling, jumbling, child attacking, how is all of that helping conservatives, Republicans, Trump's image, the image of Latinos, the way in which we talk about immigration policy? I would argue it does the opposite.
Yeah.
I would argue they represent the opposite. And for them to pretend like that's not true, and they don't think that they're in any way negatively affecting the image of conservatives or Trump, out there. No. And what's crazy is that these people pretend and think they are spokespeople for things, and they want to be in the limelight.
Yeah.
And of course, this is Mikey Lee, the boyfriend
Okay, this is
of
Mikey.
Paloma. Yeah, that's his avatar in the corner there. You see him?
Yeah.
And he's posting about Paloma for Trump. He posts,
To the people who fly private but lecture us about the environment. To the people who live in gated communities but lecture us about building walls.
oh, it's just a stupid meme that Paloma put on her page.
Okay.
But my point is that they promote each other. They hung out together. They were, Mikey, Jen's man, posts about Paloma on his page. And if you will recall, in a very recent video posted by Paloma, talking about, she actually showed her face in this one. I think I might know what's going on. Because either it looks like her dentures are falling out or they're a little bit crooked.
Oh, okay.
And there's like this big gap where you can see snap them into place. Like push and go and get it in there. Because there's like a big hole right there. Or maybe put a chiclet in there or something. Because the whole time she was talking, I wanted to or snap it in with But at least she was showing her face, and I was like, maybe this is why the lights are out when she talks all the time.
Yeah.
Remember that video? Right after I showed the pictures of how her friend, Natasha Bellissima, Josie's cuckold wife, was being represented by Paloma as an orangutan and a gorilla and all these things. She did an interview, supposedly an interview of a friend of hers, her black friend. She had a woman on, talking about women of color, and some people call her racist, but I'm talking to you and you're black. So that she didn't seem like she was a racist. And it was the most insulting, tokenizing, and racist thing I have seen her do to date.
Yep.
I was like, so in response to being caught comparing black women to gorillas, you decided to bring on and totally ghost and disrespect another black woman and tokenize her.
Yeah.
And then one of the most disrespectful things that she did was, first of all, she's in the dark. Like, you can't see her. She's like,
Yeah,
she's like, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you can see me. Like, you need to listen to and talk to my friend. Thank you so much, Crazy Lady.
Crazy lady.
She loves it. She says, a good show.
Great.
But she goes, she's like, okay, go. And she starts talking, and this woman is like talking, she thinks, to Paloma. Meanwhile, Paloma, who doesn't even have like the wherewithal to mute herself, since she's not going to listen to anything this woman is saying, she's like, I just need a black woman to come on my channel so I can say, I know black people and talk to them.
Yep.
Why would I be a racist? But I really don't want to talk to a black woman or listen to one, even to try to appear not to be a racist. So I'm going to sit in the dark, mute my phone, and very loudly eat these Cheetos.
Yeah.
You know, like, what, I don't know what she had in that plastic bag. Was it Cheetos? Was it, I don't know. But she would, like, you hear the sound was like, you couldn't hear anything this black woman was saying. It was hilarious,
Yeah.
dude. Did you see that?
Oh yeah, I was watching it. I was laughing.
Well, you couldn't see Paloma.
Oh no, I was watching the woman on the one side of the screen, and then the dark black box where Paloma was supposed to be.
And Paloma was talking.
And she's talking, and I'm like,
And
well,
she's
this
like,
is great to see a split screen with one side black,
she's like, hey, answer this question.
Yeah.
And then as soon as the woman's talking, she's like, hey, yeah. No, bring it over here.
I know,
Bring
she's
some
doing
water.
something else, yeah.
Yeah, let me eat some chips.
Yeah.
And she's got like, that's what it was the whole time, and I was just cracking up. It was hilarious hijinks. Even after that video, she did this video recently talking about how she is a resident of Arizona.
Oh yeah.
And I was thinking about all of this stuff and the connection between the two, the similarities between the two. The fact that her friend Krista, the one that was sleeping with Jovi Val in Colorado when they were supposed to be working.
Yep.
She wouldn't let her move in. So where's Paloma going to live in the U.S. so she can establish that residency that she's always claimed it to have?
Exactly.
So she can work on campaign stuff and vote for him again. Maybe this time not fraudulently.
Yeah.
But in order to do that, she would need to have a residence.
Declare her being a resident somewhere.
And I don't know. In my head, when I heard this, did you hear when she said, I'm an Arizona resident right now?
I know, she did in passing. And I'm an Arizona
no, it
resident.
wasn't in passing.
And it's like, what? Since when? What, you
No.
You haven't even talked about being in Arizona for
No, that
years.
wasn't in passing. No, that wasn't in passing. In passing, you mentioned something like, oh, and I picked up a Slurpee. You don't say about issues as controversial as her residency. Oh, I'm a resident of Arizona now. Excuse me? You live in Tijuana, pendeja.
Yeah.
How are you a resident? She's telling you something. She tells on herself. She always tells on herself.
Yep. She found some sucker with an address down there she could use. I get it. Or another P.O. box, maybe.
That P.O. box thing did not work out for her. She knows now.
Yeah, that's true.
But she's been lying to judges. She's been lying to cops. She's been lying to all these different people about where she lives and about what she does. at the places that she puts down as her addresses. She doesn't necessarily tell people all the time that it's a business under somebody else's name, or that that place is in a strip mall, or that this is over here in a different neighborhood, or it's a storage unit over there, or it's a commercial place, or it's an old place that she had as a store, or it's a P.O. box. She doesn't tell people that. No. Or it could be a restaurant. It could be a hole in the wall. She doesn't tell people that. That's her residence.
Yep.
That's why she never lets anybody go to her home, and nobody can see where she lives.
Yep.
Also because you don't want to see what goes on to those dogs.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to know what's happening. And of course, I don't know. It just seems like a coincidence. Arizona Patriots.
Yeah.
She's been hanging out with Jen. What if Jen's the fool? What if Jen's the one that's given her the, can I use your address as my residence?
Oh,
I don't know if you want to put her down, because it looks like Jen's got a lot of problems of her own.
Exactly.
In this next one, it talks about how Arizona Patriot Jen is a bully herself. More ways in which Arizona Patriot Jen Harris and Ben the Heifer Fraud are very similar. They like attacking kids. They're the kind of cowards that go after children rather than full-grown adults like themselves. Want to read that for me?
Yeah, old poor Jen of Arizona Patriots, the bully in chief, a woman, unless Anton, who harassed teenagers at the March for Our Lives, die in the state capitol. She made some of them cry while videotaping them. She terrorized teenagers. She harassed and bullied asylum seekers at churches. She bullied and terrorized women at the Women's March. She bullied a Native American lawmaker and told him to go back where he came from. She told a Native American woman at the Women's March that this is our country now. She recently terrorized teenagers who were protesting gun violence on a highway off-ramp. A woman who terrorizes people while strapped with a handgun.
Yep.
Poetic justice for a horrible human who treats people terribly.
Keep that in mind. Strapped with a handgun. That was about the only thing we were missing from Paloma. But then, of course, she started doing photos with handguns. Lately.
Oh, yeah. I think I saw those the other day.
Here's one of the many of these photos. Apparently, in her last appearance with the Lexit group, or the Lexit people, she decided to do her own makeup again. Oh my God. If you're willing to pay for witches, goblins, ghosts, and future seers.
Yeah.
Put that money into grooming. Put the money into going somewhere para que te enseñen. Because obviously nobody took care of this child.
Yeah.
She was abandoned or something. Nobody showed her how to put on makeup or comb her hair. Nobody showed her how to, wash her feet and keep her, the personal hygiene stuff. I have talked to more than one victim. Some of them were too shy to talk about it. Even on their statements that they gave on my show.
Yeah.
But this lady has some hygiene issues.
Yeah.
One can only imagine, when you hear about people who never let anyone inside their home, that don't let anybody see where they live, etc.
Mm-hmm.
They're usually like hoarders, or there's something going on. There's reasons why they don't want you to see the inside of their home.
Yeah, for sure.
But yeah, now we have the added visual of the guns and the gun violence that goes along with that, right?
Right.
She wants to have the same gun-toting image as Jen. And so, if Jen's got strapped a gun to her, and that for some reason really like speaks, like you're speaking in dog whistles.
Yeah.
And that's what Paloma wants to capture. She wants to capture the same bad girl, I got guns.
Yeah.
Instead of trying to follow in Jen, another person accused of fraud and being a horrible person and being a bad person to her family, instead of being a fan of that, girl fanning Ivan Riebling, a criminal and a narco trafficker, you need to change your idols up.
Yeah.
Y'all need to change up your idols and stop harassing and stop threatening our station, because we're not going anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
We're not going anywhere. And she's like, just be a little patient. This is going to happen soon.
Oh, yeah.
Look at all the months that it took two crazies, and karma hit them so good. What karma? What are you talking about?
Exactly.
And there's a person that's talking below in the comments about what you need to do. And she's like, I have a fake law degree.
Yes.
Or
that's
I'm an armchair lawyer, and I'm going to pontificate about something I know nothing about.
Yeah.
No.
Slandering not allowed. We've decided it's all slander.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They don't know what they're talking about.
Uh-huh.
Paloma doesn't know what she's talking about. Her followers don't know what they're talking about. And none of them are doing anything but blow hard.
That's right. They're blowhards.
They blowhards.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, that's all they got.
Mm-hmm.
Como un pedo. It's all you got. You got nothing else but wind.
Mm-hmm.
And also, her GoFraud
Yeah.
La que dice, the one that's always, I don't ask for money. I'm not asking for money.
I don't.
Also, could you PayPal her? Because she needs to go on these trips
these
to go
junkets.
represent Latinos for Trump.
Yeah, right.
And she would like it if you could please PayPal her.
Yeah.
To send her around to go and stand in front of empty rooms like she did at this for this upcoming gig. Here she is in her now apparently she's like dressing in black and the same kind of dress over and over again. She looks like she's going to a funeral. I know she's doing it because she's trying to cover up the lumps and all of the hateful rhetoric about body shaming and fat shaming other people makes her a target of people looking and commenting on whether or not she looks put together, like the things that she's always doing and attacking other people for, because she obviously has issues. But, what does she say in her Go Fraud Me? Oh, she's doing this for Trump's campaign in 2020. Paloma needs your money in her PayPal because she's
going to get him reelected.
single-handedly, dude. That's how Trump's going to get reelected.
PayPal her so she can get Trump reelected in 2020. Mm-hmm. Oh, that's a fundraising idea. Mm-hmm. Paloma's using PayPal Me.
If you believe that she can do anything for Trump or anybody, you need to be put into an insane asylum. She is not an effective speaker, and who in the hell were they even speaking to? Their live stream had no signal. How effective are these people?
That's right.
0%.
Mm-hmm.
Are you funding that nonsense? Are you funding any of it? Did you fund any of it? Do you feel bad? Because now we know these are people that are defrauding. And in the bigger picture of things, what you learn about these folks is that there is a long history that entrenches this way of life of getting by committing fraud, by committing crimes, by hurting other people. It becomes second nature. And I don't know what drove Arizona Patriots Jen Harrison to do that. But in Mexico, I definitely know that it plays into the bigger role of organized criminals, of organized crime cartels, and all the violence and corruption that we suffer. If Paloma had an ounce of integrity to her when she talked about trying to keep America from becoming more like Mexico, it would be annihilating the type of criminal element that she represents that she should be trying to eradicate. Thank you for being with us on the Super Chat tonight. I hope you enjoyed A Mexican Crossing Lines with your hosts, Cindy Gomez-Schempp
And Duke Gomez-Schempp. And please remember, you can always sponsor us, just like PalomaForTrump.com has. Make my life great again. Paloma, 4, Trump.com. You have a pleasant evening, everyone. Bye-bye.
Buenas noches.